Hello everybody, we are here for My Penang, My Workplace Stream 2, GBS World, Globalizing You. I'm Grace Ng, a true hardcore Penangite. I'm honored to be a moderator today for such an exciting topic. What is GBS? It stands for Global Business Services, which is a booming industry in Penang. I work for EBS Consultants, an established and licensed recruitment firm. For the past 10 years, I've been recruiting for diverse clients, including the GBS industry. GBS was once regarded to be a call center or data processing center, but now GBS has moved up the value chain to harmonize essential global processes. In this 1 hour, we will learn how GBS has become the career choice for talents today. We are so fortunate to have 3 GBS leaders with us today who are the GBS ambassadors of their own organization. Okay, first we have Mr. Amar. Mr. Amar is the Director and Country Head of UST Global Malaysia, specializing in IT, engineering services, including core technical areas like silicon engineering, GBS, Internet of Things, and automation. Amar is an engineer in electronics and communication, also an alumni of Harvard Business School. Next, we have Mr. Bram. Mr. Bramdikin, I'll call him Bram. He's an Indonesian who served Osram for over 20 years. He is currently the Regional Operations Head for Osram Global Shared Services for Asia Pacific and North America. Also, the Global Head for Osram Global Shared Services Source-to-Pay Operation. And lastly, we have Mr. Gagandeep. I'll call him Deep. He is the Managing Director of Swarovski Global Business Services Asia Pacific. He is an experienced leader with solid history of successfully leading several global business services in various industries. Let us get the panelists to introduce themselves and share their career adventure in GBS World. Over to you, Mr. Amar.
So thank you, Grace, for the kind introduction. And I really look forward to the next 1 hour with the great minds talking to 3 of you. And especially Gagandeep, I must say, my wife is a fan of Swarovski. Every time we go by, she can't get me a solitaire, at least get me a Swarovski. Now
of course,
picture in front of the building and say, see, I got a friend who's doing. Thank you for being in Penang, Gagandeep. I mean, I remember how excited everyone was when the office came up. So a quick introduction about me. I've been in Penang for 10 years now, and I had the responsibility to start UST Global Operations in this beautiful island. We are an IT and engineering services company headquartered out of US, and we operate in 25 countries. My responsibility is to manage the operations across 5 countries. And I've been an entrepreneur within the company that has started multiple new divisions, new operations, and new offerings, which keeps me highly motivated and excited. To introduce myself, I'm more of a people and a technology person. I interact a lot with my customers. I love my employees. I have an opportunity to work closely with around 1,600 people who are part of my group. The company overall is 25,000 people spread across 25 countries. So it's a very diverse organization. Our customers are also very diverse. Most of them are from North America. Many of them are in Europe. Some of them are in Australia and Singapore. So it becomes a very good mix, especially being in GBS. You get to interact so much with the global community. And we have an opportunity to bring the best that exists in the globe for our customers, and we do it as a shared services. We'll learn more about GBS, but personally about me, I belong to the side of GBS, which is more on engineering. So I'm an engineer, a software engineer. I used to work with Accenture and Oracle before I happened to UST Global. So I specialize a lot into parts of software engineering, hardware engineering, automation, IoT, and that's what we predominantly do in Penang. I look forward to talk more about it and interesting discussion that comes forth, but excited to be a part of this panel discussion and looking forward to it.
Great. We'll come back to you. Then we have the next renowned speaker, Mr. Bram.
Thank you, Grace, and good morning to Amar and Deep. So, as mentioned by Grace, I'm from Osram. Osram is a German company. Well, Osram itself has more than 100-year history. We start a long time ago, but always with the lighting industry. So, of course, lighting industry now is very different from the past. So now we are no longer using the bulb. We are producing the LED and all these high-tech sensors and all this kind of specialized lighting to grow the plant in the space, for example. Yeah. In your mobile phone, you will always have these small sensors detecting your face, your eyes. This is all actually Osram product, or part of them is Osram product. So that's what kind of a company Osram is. And myself, talking about myself, I have been growing within Osram for the last 22 years. Actually, I started only as an accounting staff in Indonesia. I never think I will working abroad, but through some circumstances, through some opportunity given by Osram, I'm able to grow and then move first to China, and where I also serve in the kind of shared service where we are having a SAP team serving the regional in APAC. And we have a lot of interaction with different kind of people from different countries, which are really interesting, which will be also a topic for today. And then I was moved and then requested to help to set up the new center in Penang 5 years ago. So now here I am, happy to have so many esteemed colleagues in here with Amar, with Gagandeep, where we are also helping and not helping, actually growing Penang to be a center of GBS in the future. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Mr. Bram. And of course, we have our next GBS ambassador, Mr. Deep, representing Swarovski.
Thank you, Grace. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here, and thank you also to Invest Penang for inviting me to participate in this online conference. Quick introduction. First of all, about Swarovski. I am sure most of you, if not all of you, would have heard of Swarovski. Swarovski Group is a family-owned business, 125 years old. In fact, we are celebrating the 125th anniversary this year. So Swarovski Group headquartered in Austria and also in Switzerland. We have three main businesses. We call this crystal business, optical, and thyroid. When we speak about Swarovski crystal business, this is a company that designs, manufactures, and sells the world's highest quality crystal. Genuine gemstones, we're into synthetic diamonds, and also creator stones, including finished products such as jewelry, accessories, including interior design and lighting solutions. So we liaise also a lot with world-renowned designers. In fact, we have partnered with the Academy Awards. If you see the last few years during the Academy Awards, the Oscars, the background, the curtain, it's all with Swarovski crystals. We've been designed with that. So very proud company, 125 years old, and we are at the moment spread in almost every corner of the world, more than 170 countries. So a few years ago, Swarovski decided to set up their GBS centers. So we have three GBS centers, one in Poland, another one in Costa Rica, and third one in Malaysia, in Penang. So I started on day one, 3 years ago. I was hired to come and set up the GBS over here. Now, the services that we provide out of here are finance, human resources, IT, and we continue to grow and expand as we speak. A little bit about me. I'm a Malaysian, born and bred in Kuala Lumpur. Beginning of my career, I've been into engineering, and then I moved into IT. I was in the SAP world for 18 years, doing various roles. That has taken me across all 5 continents actually in my work, all the way from America, Middle East, Europe, Asia, all the way to Australia. And in the last, I would say 14 years or so, I've been involved in establishing global business services or shared services for various multinationals. bringing up the maturity curve. And here I am 3 years before this came to Penang and started on this wonderful journey with Swarovski. So that's a quick introduction. Thank you.
Wow, how impressive. You have 3 GBS ambassadors, yeah? I have so much to learn from the leaders today, yeah? I have a Swarovski pen, all right. Yeah, who doesn't know Swarovski, Mr. Duke? Yeah, so bling crystals definitely win every woman's heart, yeah? Okay, like Mr. Deep has mentioned, Swarovski Asia Pacific GBS office is in Penang. It is at GBS Mayam with growing number of service delivery teams. Since Mr. Deep was here, yeah, as a pioneer 3 years ago, he previously has worked more than 20 countries across Europe, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. So now he's here in Penang, right? So if you have to pick one interesting aspect of your current working environment, Mr. Deep, what will that be?
Very, very good question. There's so many answers for this, but if I were to pick one, I think GBS industry gives opportunities. And I'll describe a little bit more today. GBS typically being multifunctional, typically finance, HR, IT. The colleagues get a chance to develop and learn bottom up of all the processes, right? Not only that, we even encourage people to move cross silos. People could move from human resources to customer service. I've seen people moving after some time in their career, moving from human resources to IT or finance. So being under an umbrella of GBS gives us these cross-functional opportunities. What we are also exposed to then, eventually as we move up the maturity curve, you learn about things like new technologies, whether it's robotic process automation, lean methodologies, that becomes part of the culture. Not only that, taking Swarovski as an example, being multi-location, this gives an opportunity for employees to have an international career. We have had people move to different locations on a permanent basis. We have people move from Malaysia to Costa Rica, for example. And this gives not just on a piece of paper, but we actually see people developing and growing and then having truly international careers. And Swarovski being all over the world, that opportunity is there for us to learn. So GBS being the nature of work that we do also enhances or let's say increases the opportunity to have such a career. So in a nutshell, I would say these are some of the things that come to my mind immediately.
Wonderful, Mr. Deep. Yes. Okay, now we try to look at, GBS at a different flavor. USD Global provides advanced computing and digital services to companies around the world. We know Mr. Amar moved his base to Malaysia and grew the GBS offerings of USD Malaysia to its global customers, making it one of the biggest global delivery center for USD Global. So Mr. Amar, can we know what entices you to go into this role at the first place? What do you think your role, what difference does it take, for you to come into this role at the first place?
Sure. It's a very funny story, Grace, I should say. So and the magic is not in Mr. Amar, I think the magic is in Penang. So when I came to Penang 10 years back, I was a program manager for one of the customer engagements, engineering customers that we were supporting out of here. So my wife was confused as well. Are you sure we are coming here? And we were for first few days in Cyberjaya, and then we came to Penang and then all that stuff. So we were trying stuffs. I would be honest, we were trying stuffs, but the kind of support that I have seen coming up here, I still recall, MDEC has been such a great support. Invest Penang has always been to your side, especially when I was in Penang. Then there were organizations like Talent Corp, MIDA, so on and so forth. Everyone wanted to grow. Everyone wanted that, Amar, can we do this here? It includes my customer, it includes my colleagues, it includes the government agencies that we work with. Everyone wanted to grow the ecosystem here. There was tremendous support. And I've been always hungry to grow as an entrepreneur. So it started from there. It started from there as a program manager. As I started growing that customer, and then I added on more customers. Then I became a self-declared country head. I mean, what do you do with a country of 10 people? When I came to Malaysia, we had hardly 10 people, so there was no designation called a country head for UST Global, right? and nobody had such a title. But as we grew from 10 to 40, 40 to 100, 400, and then all of a sudden when we became 1,000, then I was like, oh my gosh, what has happened? and people ask me, hey, Amar, what do your 1,000 people do? I mean, we don't see a product, we don't see UST Global selling, computers, or we don't see software. Well, what do you guys do? So it becomes very interesting for me to tell that, how we are behind the scenes, how we provide those engineering solutions, how we enable the technology. And the biggest happiness that I have got, Grace, and that has made it successful. I mean, the career that I've had and the position I have has been made successful is because we have always won success for our customers. Most of my customers are MNC who have some presence in Malaysia. And with UST Global on their side, they are able to do those complex engineering projects within Malaysia. Earlier they were like, they are no good engineers. It's very difficult to hire. Computing engineers are not there. Software engineers are difficult to hire. And Gagandeep have been a veteran in this. I just learned that he was 18 years with SAP, so he can he can echo how difficult people believe it's difficult to hire engineers. Yeah, they would say go and hire from India or go to Eastern Europe, but we proved it so wrong, and we made this such a nice success story that we are now the biggest delivery center outside of India for UST Global, which is a big thing. And the credit goes to the customers, their support, the amazing ecosystem, and the lovely people I managed while we were having this journey. So yeah, I'll take a pause here.
Thanks, Mr. Amar. I feel you because I recruit for USD too. Okay, yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, then we have Osram. Yeah, Osram Global Shared Services is situated strategically in the heart of Georgetown, specifically at the EPF building. Osram Global Shared Services supports 14 countries around the globe: APEC, ASEAN, Greater China, NETFA, in accounting, procurement, and HR services. So, Mr. Bram, how does it feel working with people of different cultures and nationalities? What are the learning opportunities that we can gain from such interaction?
Well, I think first of all, it's really sometimes it's difficult to tell. If you don't experience it, you don't know. So for people who never really meet other people from other countries, sometimes it's very difficult to tell what is actually the benefit for them. But once you experience it, then you will see the difference. We all grow with some, I say, assumptions or some prejudice or some stereotypes about, okay, Indian is like this, American is like that, German is like that. When you really meet those kind of people, well, yes, to some degree, there is something. So German always very strict, for example. So we are in German companies, so I can complain about them. German is very strict. This is what they want. This is what they do. Nothing else. Yeah. But it's again.
Are hearing, by the way, I must tell you.
Don't tell my boss, please. But this is the fact. Yeah? But if you really also start to really talk to those kind of people, when you meet them, when you work together with them, then you see different side. Then you see, okay, maybe they are in the beginning like that, but when you really talk to them, then you really know. And then you learn also how actually to interact with different these kind of people. Sometimes when people talk with the, I don't know, let's say Americans, they make a jokes, and their joke is sometimes very rude, honestly. But if you know, this is not their being rude, this is how they talk sometimes. Yeah? And we have an incident in our team, for example, when some of our counterparts sending an email, which if you just read it, is very rude, honestly. But when you know the persons, and I know the persons, and say, oh, this is okay, this is, he like to make a jokes like this. He don't mean anything. But this is the kind of thing that you will learn. So sitting as a GBS, sitting in the center where you have 14 or maybe more countries to serve, and you are exposed to this kind of thing. It's really open up your mind. I think it's really a benefit. It might be not, let's say, tangible skill, but it will change your mindset, it will change your attitude, and it will open up your opportunity in the futures. That's all I think what I can say.
Yep, yes, I agree so much with you, yeah. So like the slogan put it, light is Osram. So Osram brings so much light to Malaysia, to Penang, and has brought Mr. Bram over from Indonesia and so many countries and now right here. So good, yeah. Okay, yes, we shall see, yeah. These days, the subject of work-life balance plays an important role, especially for our millennials. Yeah. So, Mr. Deep, how do you see this work-life balance playing out for you right now in your current environment?
Sure, thanks, Grace. I think when it comes to work-life balance, it's something that we've been preaching and we've been practicing from the past. Obviously, there are times when there are spikes in work. We don't have, for example, we don't have clock in, clock out. There's flexibility as long work gets done. But we are also sensitive enough to check on, workload for our colleagues, making sure that's enough, that's adequate. Work is challenging, but it can be done because we feel that everyone's personal time, family time is as important, if not more important, than what you do in the office. So we make sure that balance is there. And coming now down to the pandemic, I mean, of course, it threw a lot of things in a disarray. What we noticed initially was that people were actually spending more time working because most of them are at home, laptops are switched on, and you tend to check your emails, you tend to check your mobile phone after office hours. So people tend to drag that hours. And it's something that, it's a bit concerning. So what we've actually indicated, and I've spoken to my leadership team, my direct reports, that 5:30, 6 o'clock, guys, just shut down your laptops. And that's one way. Just make sure we do that. Of course, there are times when, there are some global meetings, etc. you need to attend, but otherwise do that. Because it is, I guess, human tendency that having the technology at home, working from home, you tend to just stretch those hours. And that can be unhealthy on a long-term basis because you get mental fatigue kicks in. And to avoid that, I think it's also important that we cut off planned work and cut off as required so that, you can put away the laptop and focus on other personal things. So that's what we do now.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Deep. Through my experience hiring for GBS industry, sometimes, people talk about, shift work. Yeah, shift work. Yeah, so, the requirements in the GBS industry is actually quite high, usually massive hiring, various skill sets, the core functions, language, etc. Yeah, so work-life balance, is something we talk so much about right now. Yeah, thanks so much for your insight there. Yeah, so we have to balance out ourselves, not to have over fatigue. Yeah, especially like what we said now. Many of us are working from home. Yeah, who's working from home today?
Yeah, Grace, a very interesting point on this, and I learned so much from what Gagandeep told just now. I've been doing a mistake for long, and I realized only until I read this article. So I used to have a habit of sending, before I go to bed, like late nights, just asking things. Okay, hey guys, we need to do this, we need to do that, something like that stuff. I'll just stack it and I'll send it. Or sometimes I would do it over a weekend. I have some time sitting in a car. I think, okay, I got to do that. But I would not save it. I would just send it. And you know what used to happen? Because I would send it to a couple of my leadership guys, some of my direct reports. They would immediately start working on it. They would do something. They would start responding. They would loop in people. And then I did not realize it was me who was actually causing some kind of a, because it's an email from Amar, people tend to reply over the weekend or at night or from the bed. When I read that article, I was like, oh God, I have been a nasty guy for so long. And then I realized I keep it always in my draft. I don't control, because sometimes we forget ideas, right? As leaders, we have some good idea, we want to send it, we'll forget it. So I keep it in my draft. I compose the message, but I don't send out until it's Monday morning.
Very caring boss you are. Yes, sometimes, yeah, we are a bit guilty as leaders, yeah. Yeah, we tend to, to give instruction, and the receiving party, yeah, the receiving party may take it as an urgent one. Yeah. So am I, I'm regarded as a workaholic too. Yeah, what about Mr. Bram? Very long with Osram. Maybe, you can comment about work-life balance as well.
Well, I tend to agree with Amar. I think this is really good sharing. I also, maybe I'm doing exactly the same like what you do. Yes, I still need to review what I'm doing every weekend. Then, so, but I think the work-life balance is always, let's say, for me, it's a subjective. Because sometimes people also say they want to work-life balance. When we ask what do you mean, they also do not know. Yeah. So I think it's very subjective, and people also need to know what is work-life balance means to them. Some people, they like to work, and of course, maybe we need to remind them, hey, look, please also spend times for your own personal things. But sometimes also when they are still young, they say, why you want to stop me? I want to continue to work. I want to be moving forward, they say. So I will say this is, we can make some guidance. We can lead by examples. I will copy what Amar do. But then it's also still back to personal, each of the individual. They need to know what they mean by work and life balance, what actually they want. And it's subjective to each of the persons.
If I may just add on a little bit, just to share one of my past experiences in my previous company. It also sometimes goes with the culture, and especially maybe in Asia, I would say. It's always the case when the boss is in the office, you tend to stay in the office. You only want to leave when the boss leaves. And I had to actually make it a point to actually sometimes go, in those days, used to go from a few tables and you say, what are you doing in the office? It's already 5:30. And then, so if you have nothing critical or nothing urgent, just go back home. And to be honest, it took some time, a few months, for people to get comfortable that, work is done. Yeah, irrespective whether your boss is in the office, you have done your job. You have, and, time to go back, just go back home. And so we took away that culture sometimes, or sometimes just by communicating. It's perfectly fine to go back home, even before your boss. As long as work is done, you've put in your hours, just go back. And that hopefully, I guess that helped the environment too at that time.
One, yes, we are all caring bosses ourselves, yeah, because we don't want our team members to be burnt out. So work-life balance is important today. Okay, yes, let's look at the future of GBS. Yeah, so I would love to hear from Mr. Bram. He worked for Osram for over 22 years, right, if I hear it correctly. So for the last 15 years, he has worked and lived abroad for various roles in Osram. Bram has experience being an accountant, just now he mentioned that, finance controller, customer service, variety of roles, yeah, IT, ERP, system analyst, and various project management in his current global shared services role. So he's currently residing in Penang with his lovely wife. So in your personal opinion, do you think the future of GBS is still exciting, and why? Would you share how your role evolved from the day one you signed in for your job until today? Any interesting story to share with us?
I think if I look back for my first day one job, that will be very, very long time ago. I think that will be very much different from, honestly, I mentioned already, I never think that I will be working abroad when I was first starting Osram, or I will leading such a big team with such a big responsibility. It has come, not say by accident, but it's come through opportunity and hard work, and you really need to face the chance in this case. Don't afraid to try. Even you think, can I do it or not? Just do it. Yeah. Back to what you were asking, I think that GBS will be an exciting future? The answer is very clear, yes. I like to copy two different companies that we have in here. The Swarovski is a private-owned company, right? So, but even for private-owned company, they also doing a GBS. They see that this is something that's necessary. They see this is something what other companies, successful company are doing, and they also do that. I think that is really a sign. And on the other side, we have the UST. If we look back a long time ago, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, IT is internal. IT is always done internally. But we can hear now, GBS is taking over that. So we can imagine that a lot of other things within the company itself, which maybe we think now is not something that be done outside the company, in the future will be outsourced or will be part of the GBS as a captive, just like what Osram and Swarovski do. Yeah. So the limit for the GBS, what can be done in GBS, or what is the future for GBS, is very, very big. You cannot limit that. Basically, as long as the company, as long as the business demand it, then it's always possible to become a GBS. So that means if you are in the GBS industry, if we are already stepped on the net, then it's up to you how you want to grow and how you want to broaden your perspective.
Yeah, I recall my experience hiring for GBS 10 years ago. It was pretty transactional. You know, for accounting, for example, we work on GL, AP, AR, but today, you know, GBS now for accounting, for example, you know, they do audits, they do data analytics even, you know, it has evolved so much and the value is great. The transactional part, maybe, you know, the technology has come in, yeah, to take over a part, yeah. So the future of GBS is so great and it is full of potential. Maybe we can hear from Mr. Deep as well. What do you see the future in your industry?
I mean, as what Bram mentioned, I just echo, it's opportunities are massive for how things can be centralized. I mean, the typical ones we always hear: finance, human resources, IT, but there are companies now, so many of them doing in customer service, consumer service, and believe it or not, even legal practices are centralized in GBS today, where you provide legal services for companies across. So, and hence the opportunities to bring or provide a service via GBS is almost infinite. And not only that, when you do that, I mean, you have the opportunity to standardize the work, and then you can really bring add value of improvising and bring, let's say, value added services on top of the mere transactional services. So I would say, you know, it's limitless, the opportunities.
The sky the limit, yeah? Infinity. Yeah. What about Mr. Amar in engineering field, yeah?
Yeah. I agree so much with what Bram and Gagandeep said, right? I think GBS is about focus. It's like everyone wants to do focus things, right? When Steve Jobs came back to Apple, you know, back as the leader, and then Apple became a few billions and now $2 trillion company, was he cut the 95 other products that Apple was doing. He said, okay, let's do only 5, right? So to me, success, to me, specialization is all about focus. And what I tell my customers, like I'm on the other side, I want them to outsource more and more so I increase my business. so I tell them, you know what, guys, you focus on what are your core areas, right? And you should let go, whether you do it as your own captive, have your specialized team that does it. You know, they're great leaders like Gagandeep and Bram, or you work with outsourced companies. But in any case, you should not focus on things that you are, you know, that is not core to your business. And you should take the advantage of shared services. Like Uber is such an example, right? It's to me, it's like a very innovative way of doing GBS, where you run it as a platform and you use the whole community. It's a crowdsourcing. From a career perspective, because I somehow had my career mostly into this industry of services. Earlier with Accenture, I was briefly with Oracle, but then again with UST. Even Accenture is a consulting organization. As you all know, they don't have own products, but they are mainly into services, right? So what I have seen is the opportunity to learn is tremendous. if someone would have spent like a decade or two in a GBS industry, he or she would have learned so much about multiple customers. Like Gagandeep just said, sometimes they are in HR, then finance, then IT. I would today work with a customer like Osram, where they would teach me how a MES works to the best, how does a lighting semiconductor works. Then tomorrow I get to work with Motorola. I learn so much about telecommunication, and then I work with Western Digital. I learn about memory. So when I work, being in the same company, I get such an exposure of different business units, different customers, different environment. You get global opportunities. I have seen the GBS employees getting most global opportunities. Like Gagandeep said, there's so much of people coming in, going in. Earlier in other meeting, we were hearing Teleperformance. They have so many other nationalities working in Penang, right? So I think the opportunities are tremendous, whether it is learning, whether it is travel, or whether it is having a job security. Your employability really increases when you work on different things. You know so much and you get to do it. So I'm all for GBS. Yeah.
Oh yes, very bright future ahead for us. Okay, yeah, earlier Mr. Deep and also Mr. Amar mentioned about customer service with multiple language. We'll touch a little bit about language proficiency, yeah, to excel in GBS industry. You see, Penang has the advantage of multilingual community with unique Hokkien dialect. Yeah, I'm purely Hokkien too. So on the streets today, we can easily hear people mix a few languages in one sentence. For example, makcik, tapau tu nasi lemak please. It is cute, right? These are languages, that even dialects, which is so rojak, and we can still understand of all kinds of races. Yeah, so I would like to learn also, within the organization specifically, do you all mold the languages skills, are there any language learning center? Mr. Deep, maybe you can share your experience in Swarovski. I understand that you mold your internal people who are strong in their core functions, at the same time develop them, for languages.
So thank you, Grace. I think touch a very important topic. Let me start off, actually, it's communication skills. Now, we know communication skills are needed in almost any industry. Good communication skills are paramount in a GBS because we are a service-based industry, right? So language is a given. And for Malaysians, and being born here, I think every Malaysian can speak at least 2 to 3 languages, which is a big advantage. And for us in Swarovski, today we are supporting countries all the way from China, Japan, Korea, India, Thailand. So some of the work that we do, quite a bit, requires these language skills. And we in Penang are able to hire a lot of locals and sometimes some foreigners to be able to provide these services in these languages. And what we have done is we have partnered with external parties to come in and conduct lessons, trainings, especially for those areas which are, let's say, niche or tough. For example, Japanese languages, Korean languages. So we've had trainings running for the last 2 years. We take a break and then we continue again. In fact, we have even conducted English lessons for English-speaking lessons, communication skills for some of our colleagues. We had a 12 weeks workshop just to brush up because it's our lingua franca. I mean, we speak to so many stakeholders from all over the world, and hence having a good grasp and command of languages is absolutely important. It's sometimes I say sometimes they're even more important than your technical skills. It's depending on it's so crucial, and we do focus a lot in that. So for today in Swarovski, we actually partner with external companies here to conduct those kind of workshops, trainings, and this is on a continuous basis.
Yeah, maybe I can get Mr. Bram also to elaborate. Osram has multiple languages because you serve so many parts of the world. Yeah, so how do you hire people with a language skill to perform the job?
Well, I almost echo what Mr. Deep said. So we also serve officially Japan, Korea, and we have one Spanish language that we also serve officially. So this is also very difficult how to say, skill is not so available. So of course, what we do also, we try to have a spatial allowances. We have a spatial, let's say, hiring procedure for that. We partner with external parties also to seek all these kind of talents. But the key in here actually, if you are able to speak other language, it is for the talents, and this is already an advantage. Like what Mr. said, it is as important, if not more important, than your technical skill. Technical skill you can learn. Language skill you need to develop slowly over the time also. So with the continuous training, with the continuous practice, and sometimes we also have a team member who join us with completely different background, but because of the language, then they say, I want to try. I say, okay, why not? We give the chance. So you can see, because of language skill, you open the door. Yeah. And if you are really interested, and we have some also team who are really, because of their language skill, they also grow within the teams. Then they don't use the language skill anymore. They are more into the become a team lead or these kind of things. So this is really how important the language is. And English, like what Mr. Jim mentioned, is a lingua franca. If you speak good English, and I'm sorry to disagree with the statement, it's cute, it's nice to have this mixed language, but when you do the official talk, the other partner will not understand this. But it's good when you talk within the team, within each other. So this is nice. But I think it's also important when you're able to really speak a full and fluent English or Japanese or Korean, whichever that you prefer in this case, and don't mix the language. Yeah. I mean, talking is okay, but when official, you better not. Okay.
Yeah, my French colleague couldn't understand me sometimes. Yeah, so language, yeah, I think in West Penang or generally Malaysia, they have introduced, yeah, an extra language with even in schools, yeah, high schools. For example, my children, you know, they get to learn German, they get to learn Japanese in Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan, you know, that kind of government-operated schools. So yes, I think we are doing very much to cater to the future of GBS in terms of language. So, Mr. Amar, what about your side and the engineering perspective? You know, language is still important?
Yeah, the language is important, but my languages are a bit different. They are like Perl, Python, C, C++.
More advanced language.
But I agree so much. I mean, rather than, you know, I would say the word communication skills, right? They are of paramount importance. English is there, but still engineers are typically shy, and, you know, they are more introverts and they are more focused on the kind of languages. I know engineers who have been like 20 years, they're just working on Java. I'm like, don't waste your life. You know, they're so focused on one language and one product and all that stuff. We sometimes can become very shy, very introvert. But I have seen most of the leaders who have grown, and even our CEOs are like engineers, right? So what happens is you got to have a good communication skill. You got to connect with people. When you were expressing, Grace, when you ordered that rojak and nasi lemak, I mean, those are some of the ways you connect with human beings, right? When you are with French, even Bram talked about the culture, like Americans have a culture, French have a culture, Germans have a culture, we have a culture, right? Asians have a culture. So I think our strength is culture, is what I personally believe. I tell people, you know, Southeast Asia, we Asians are about culture. We can connect with people. I think connecting with people is important, but sometimes having that particular linguistic skills, like I cannot operate in Japan without having a Japanese speaking strong team. My even engineers needs to be Japanese speaking experts. My embedded engineer needs to be Japanese speaking. They could be Indian, Malaysian, American, but they should still speak Japanese, right? And you cannot ignore Japan if you are talking about automotive engineering. I mean, you can still live with Bram and Germany, but but still you can't ignore Japan. Same thing goes for China. And one thing I would like to mention here is that gives a natural edge to Penang, especially, and Malaysia is, because we are in a time zone same as China, and China is a big emerging market, right? And a lot of our population in Malaysia can speak Mandarin. I mean, now the population is getting a bit less, but still, I do encourage a lot of youngsters, and my daughters are learning Mandarin, by the way. So I really encourage everyone, whatever languages you can pick up, it's good to have that language, but that's an edge that we have. Being in the same time zone as of China, Singapore, and having a lot of population that speaks Mandarin, does help us a lot.
Can't agree more. Yeah, Penang has this special advantage. Yeah, so basically we can say we are our strength in English. Basically, yeah, maybe some needs to brush up a little bit, but we are still strong in English, Bahasa Malaysia, and of course Chinese. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My next question. Yeah, our next question. I am aware that GBS companies in Penang are actively hiring despite the COVID challenges right now. I'm so happy, to be able to serve very massive projects even right now with GBS companies hiring. So USD Malaysia has also received last year, 2019, the top employer award. Am I right? So, what would be your advice to the young talents and active job seekers to go into this industry?
Yeah, the first advice to all the job seekers is come and join UST. Don't listen to what Gagandeep and Bram are saying. So that's the second serious advice is that learn continuously. I think continuous learning is what makes a lot of difference, whichever industry, whichever company we are in. I think if we stop learning, that's when we really start looking old. If you continue to learn, you'll be like Bram, 22 years and he still looks like a schoolboy. So
Thank you.
On UST Global Malaysia, getting the top employer award, I think the analysts, the panel were very kind. I think my marketing team did a good job. But seriously, UST Global is a company that believes in transforming lives. We are so people-oriented organization. For us, our employees are first, our customers are first. We believe in humility, humanity. We believe in transforming lives. We have so many CSR events. I wouldn't say that we are the top pay master, but you cannot survive in this industry by just by paying and paying. But it's about learning. It's about having that right culture, striking that work-life balance, taking care of employees and giving them global opportunities, allowing them to do what they like to do, not doing a lot of micromanagement. That's what I would like to tell a lot of bosses. It's in today's generation, you can't really do a lot of micromanagement. Otherwise, you'll end up losing your good talent to competitors. So that's all I would like to say and take a pause, Grace.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Amar. So let's see, Swarovski is indeed a great place to work for as well. Yeah, so Mr. Deep, what is special, that within Swarovski that you can attract the young talents today?
I think just the brand itself. I think first of all, I mean, who won't beat around the bush? I think the brand itself carries the, let's say, the interest there. As we always say, we add sparkle to people's everyday lives. That's what we do. And for us, I think the culture of the organization, where, as also Amar mentioned, people focus is so crucial, right? And treating the people openly, having an open environment, which is a flat organization, less hierarchical. It doesn't really matter whether you are the MD or a junior accountant. The doors are always open to have open discussions. We encourage people to come up with differing ideas, come up with constructively so that we have discussions on this. So having that kind of landscape, that kind of environment, we help people to grow, but also increase confidence that people are then able to think on their own 2 feet and come up with ideas which are different. And for us, this is one of the most important things, right? So for employee focus is absolutely crucial, and that is inculcated in the culture of the organization. The other bit I would say is actually the collaborative spirit. It is incredible, and I'll just tell you the first day when I joined Swarovski, my first day, and I came on board, I was in a meeting with 6 different people from all over the world, from different locations, and they were already there to help me and guide me and say, this is what we are doing and this is what you do. And that is an example where that continues today. So even if you're a new joiner, you come to the office, for example, you are trained. You have spent about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, sometimes even 2 months training, and you'll have different people that are working, collaborating to help you out. So our focus is that making sure we all our people are trained, you have the tools, and be able to perform and give you the right environment to flourish. And that's where we continue to focus as we move forward.
Sounds really enticing. Then for Osram, Osram is the GBS Center is located in Georgetown, right? So I ever heard Mr. Bram said, the Osram office in Penang is close to malls, close to good food. Yeah, I know it because I'm also there. So that could be a natural attraction for Osram to hire GBS great talents.
Well, yes, I think that's one of the things that, let's say, I see that the teams must also really appreciate. In the terms, when they have a break, they can easily go and then explore nearby. Yeah, we are really in the middle. Well, I'm not saying Bayan Lepas is a bad area. That's not what I mean. But being in the Georgetown, we are different. I think we are very close to the malls, but that's not what we all wanted. Okay, just because of that, they joined us. Yeah, I think we also similar like what USD and Swarovski do. We also very focus on the people because again, as a shared service industry, as a GBS industry, people is our asset. We have nothing else, only people. Yeah, if you throw away the people, then we are dead. As simple as that. So we are focused on, we have a comprehensive learning training program. Of course, during the COVID, this is now very difficult to have a face-to-face training, but we also have a very extensive online training. So we start this about 2 years ago, where we are focusing also to ask our training teams to say, okay, we need to develop a curriculums, we need to develop a kind of, not say a fixed course, but this is, if you are joining our team, this is what we expect you to learn. Yeah. So then each team or each employee, when they join, they know, okay, this is what they need to learn. Most of them, they can do it online. They can do it also together with, once they learn, they can review it together with what we call the buddy systems. They have each of the new employee, they have a buddy. So they will have a partner to talk, dedicated partner to talk to in this case, or to learn. Or if they have questions, they can come to this buddy. If this buddy do not know, then this is the job of the buddy to find out who can help these newcomers. So to cut the discussion short, basically, I think all of us in the GBS industry is very agreed and very focused on the people. I'm not saying this is different from other non-GPS company, but I think we are much more focused because we know people is our asset. Okay?
No doubt about that. Yeah. People is always the company's asset. Yeah. So they actually give the peace of mind. Actually, if we hire the right person, the peace of mind is so critical, right? So we as bosses, if we have great people doing the job, so we can actually enjoy many things, and grow even more. People is always our asset. Yeah, so agree. Okay, we are at the final few minutes of the session. Yeah, time really flies. Yeah. So I think we should come to the final question to all our panelists here. Please also make a closing remark, on this final question. Yeah, I'm going to ask, about your best moments. Yeah, share with us truth from your heart. What is your best moment in your career that you can hashtag my Penang, my workplace?
Because my best moment was very recent, so it comes close to my heart and lips. So it was just before the lockdown. We inaugurated our Infinity Innovation Lab in Penang. It's very special for UST Global because it's the first Infinity Lab in Southeast Asia. What an Infinity Lab does is there are a lot of innovation that happens that would do automation, AI, ML, work with the startups, work with universities, and have discoveries, inventions coming out of that Infinity Lab supporting our customers worldwide. So that was special, and it was very special because it was inaugurated by our CM, Chief Minister YB Chow was there. And it made even more special because the person who was explaining it to the Chief Minister when he entered the Infinity Lab was Aoife. Aoife is an intern we hired 3 years back from USM, a computer science graduate. And she has become a very popular IoT engineer in UST Global. She's leading multiple projects. So the satisfaction, it gave me the best of life. You know, I'm in Penang, I inaugurated an Infinity Lab, and an intern who came in from USM is now, you know, transformed into a leader into embedded IoT space. So that was my hashtag best moment. And my closing remarks would be, I wish to do more of those. I want to enable more and more people into technology. I want to get more Penangites, more Malaysians become better engineers and shine around the world and bring the best of technology solutions coming out of this island.
Wow, fantastic, yeah, an intern turned to the master in IoT. Okay, may I ask you another simple question? How happy are you in your current organization? You can rate 1 to 10, probably 1 being less happy, not so happy, and 10 being the most happiest.
So I am 20, Grace, so my resume is not ready. If I get disappointed, I know whom to contact.
All right. Oh, okay. Really tip top there. Okay, the best moments again. Yeah. So who's next, Mr. Deep?
Sure. I think when I look back in the career of GBS, I think the best moments is a little bit what Amar said, is when you see your colleagues, your team members grow. And today I've seen people who have grown right from junior, who have become IT solution architects. Some of them even end up becoming CFOs of organizations. And this is where I see how GBS has been able to enable their careers. And when you see them grow and flourish and actually have international careers, that for me as a leader gives me the best satisfaction to be able to help a little bit, but empower people to grow. And just on the hashtag, my Penang, my workplace, this is just an interesting word for me, at least anecdote. I'm from KL, by the way, born and bred. I'm a city guy, Kuala Lumpur guy. And it's normally quite strange, I hear about people from KL to move to Penang. I was, in fact, when I was in KL, I used to speak with my wife. And, you know, Penang, as we know, it's a holiday area, right? Great food, great beaches. You have a Penang mountain hill over here. It's a great vacation place. And, yeah, maybe Penang is one day it's a place where we will go and retire. And little knowing, just a little down the lane, I had this opportunity to come to Penang and to start off. And what I've discovered, yes, Penang is great. Penang has got the same food with the holiday area and all. But Penang is also a dynamic area when it comes down to the industry. You look at GBS, the growth, and then also looking at the, the reason of the last year announcement by the Chief Minister, the Penang 2030 vision, the plans that are afoot for Penang. I think if I can say, this is probably the place to be right now when it comes to growth for the country, where you want to have a real balance between a career, industry, and on the personal front, whether it's the food or whether it's your vacation, it's a mixture of all kind of cultures and all. And I think everything, checks for Penang. Couldn't be at a better place. So I guess you don't need to hear my rating from 1 to 10. So you know that you can hear that.
Yeah, okay, yes, I'm a Penangite. So I always support Penang, hardcore Penangite. Okay, then we hear from Mr. Bram, yeah, who is not a Malaysian, but I'm sure you have many more best moments, but only one. Yeah, the best of the best.
Well, I think first about, I echo what two leaders here say. I think the best moment for me is about the people, my team in this case. We also start from very small, 5 people, like most of the centers in the start, and then now we have grow, and then we have able to stand up and then say to our counterparts, say, look, we are able to do this. And we also receive, or the team receive also acknowledgement from the customers, our internal customers. So whenever we receive such things, and then either it's come directly to me or it's come through the team, or even sometimes more proud is when it's come indirectly to me. But people talking about, hey, the other guy say GBS Penang Center is one of the best center from the GSS. The team in Penang is like this. They are very cooperative. They are very like this. That is what makes you proud, yeah. Because that is show, okay, we are really able to grow the team in here. The people in Malaysia or in Penang in particular are able also to meet the challenge, and we are able to show that we can do that. So this is really a proud moment, I will say. This is what I think is the best. I think it's the same with both Amar and Mr. Tip in this case, right? So from personal experience, what is the best experience? I will say it's more to almost the same, because like Mr. Deep, I was from Jakarta when I was in Indonesia, big city, 11 million people. When I was in China, I was in Guangzhou, same, even more people in it. It's huge cities, you never sleeps and so on. So when I come to Penang, when my assignment say, hey, you should move to Penang, and I talk to my wife and say, we are looking at each other, what should I do in Penang? And this is a small city with less than 1 million people, or in the island, yeah. What can we do there? But we are very, very surprised in the nice way to see that Penang is really, like what Mr. Deep said, very dynamic, it's very growing. Even during the COVID, you still see a lot of people in the street and they're still enjoying life, and you can really see a lot of things, entertainment in the terms of healthy entertainment, by the way, not the unhealthy entertainment in this case, yeah. Hikings, you can go sailing. One of my colleagues say, okay, in Australia, for example, you go and hire a yacht or you hire a sailing boat, it's cost you a fortune. In Penang, you can do this reasonably cheap, according to him. Yeah. So where else in the world you can do that? So my say that, well, Penang is a nice place to be in this case, especially during these times. I feel that more appreciations, because we are really in the safe environment. We are much better compared to a lot of other countries in the COVID situations, yeah. And people are still really has the spirit to still grow and fight. So I think that is my best moment.
So the same tongue-in-cheek question, how happy are you?
I will say at the most maximum happiness. And sorry, not at the most, at least at the maximum happiness in this case.
Fantastic. Okay, yeah, like you say, Penang has its dreams and its concrete, a good balance, yeah? Okay, yeah, I mean, we can talk non-stop, if time allows, but unfortunately, we have come to almost the end of the whole session, but what we can see here is GBS has matured so much within Penang over the years. GBS has brought talents from all over the world at different geographical areas and time zones. We have global friends who surround us physically with various cultures, language, and yummy, delicious food. Indeed, Penang is such a great place to live, work, and play. Hashtag my Penang, my workplace. Come on over here to work. My Kongwa Bochio. Okay, so with conscious of time, we will have to conclude. My sincere thanks to all the panelists. I've learned so much from you all today. The organizers of the event, Invest Penang and JobStreet.com, not forgetting all the audience who are tuning in too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe.